Good day, my name is Angelo. This is Nation's Voice Tower, that hub that keeps you updated on anything political and the political occurrences in Nigeria and how it borders democracies. Okay, now I will go straight to delve into the matter at hand. I stumbled over an expose file of Professor Mahmood Yakubu. I thought he was all clean. Yes, I thought he was all clean until the 2023 elections. But I have seen that this man has been fraudulent right from his time at UBEC. Yes, because from what I have here, he worked with TED Fund sometime and then prior to his appointment as INEC chairman. All right, so I have lots of information on him. What you do for me now is just pick a seat and sit back because you know now how this man became fraudulent right from time, and with these fraudulent records he was still appointed the INEC chairman. That is to tell you how bad the government has been over time, or how, maybe let's say, insensitive this appointment was. All right, now, truth be told, the fact I had to consult lots of sources to delve into this. So documents have also come up to confirm these claims, and so it won't be as if we're blabbing. All right, so you have proofs to back up these claims. Documents revealed former UBEC and TED Fund bosses vanished with 850 million naira. That is the amount of money that Yakubu Mahmood is being arraigned for, or is being called out for. Yes, because we can't continue to keep this behind us and do as if we don't know. All right, so without much ado, I would like to delve straight into the point. All right, now the two bosses that are actually in this particular category are Professor Mahmood Yakubu and Dr. Ahmed Modibo Muhammad. These were the two UBEC and TED Fund bosses that actually fell to this particular crime. Okay, so let me go straight without wasting much of your time. All right, according to sources, all right, the past executive secretaries then of Universal Basic Education Commission UBEC and the Education Tax Fund ETF, now known as Tertiary Education Trust Fund TED Fund, Dr. Ahmed Modibo and Professor Mahmood Yakubu. Ahmed Modibo was for UBEC and Professor Mahmood Yakubu, I beg your pardon, was for TED Fund. All right, they allegedly pocketed 850 million meant to buy chairs and desks for school children. All right, now according to our sources, it was authoritatively revealed by sources that their successors in office have reportedly launched investigations into the whereabouts of the money which a federal high court in June 2011 ordered to be paid into an interest-yielding account. Their efforts have so far drawn blank. Upon their redeployment on September 3rd, 2007, Dr. Modibo and Professor Mahmood Yakubu cashed 850 million naira approved by the predecessors to mobilize a plastic chair manufacturer called Intermarkets Nigeria Limited. The company was to produce 70,000 units of chairs and tables for school children, having earlier manufactured for UBEC under phase 1 of the project. Interestingly, over 5 years after another 850 million was drawn for phase 2 of the manufacturing contract, Intermarkets Limited is still waiting to be mobilized, a whole year after the release of the 850 million naira. Modibo placed advertorials in some newspapers. This is what Professor Mahmood Yakubu had to go into. Now listen to his role here. The other boss, Dr. Modibo, placed advertorials in some newspapers. Invitation for pre-qualification of firms to tender for the production and supply of plastic desks and chairs for junior secondary schools. In the Friday, August 22nd, 2008 editions of This Day and Daily Trust newspapers, Modibo advertised UBEC has received financial support from the Education Tax Fund, ETF, and intends to apply the proceeds for the procurement of high-grade, impact-resistant copolymer resin desks and chairs for the basic education subsector at the states and FCT level in Nigeria. In the Wednesday, November 5th, 2008 editions of the same newspapers, Madibo announced that he had pre-qualified some companies. 17 of these belonged to his wife, Aishatu. Curiously, Madibo inserted the footnote: these firms have been pre-qualified subject to confirmation of ownership of factory for the production of plastic furniture. Observed a UBEC official. In one breath, Madibo announced he had pre-qualified some companies. After pre-qualification comes bidding process. Yet he was talking of subject to confirmation of ownerships of factory. What then was the basis for the pre-qualification? Some of the companies Madibo pre-qualified belonged to his wife are Binani Nigeria Limited, Ojungwa Enterprises, Binwa Nigeria Limited, and Al Malal Nigeria Limited, Golden Crescent Nigeria Limited, and Al Hazin Enterprises, and Infinity Telecoms. Among others are all these companies that were mentioned, all right. At the time, 4 of the companies, including Binwa and Ojungwa, had not been registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Unfortunately for the former UBEC boss, Intermarkets Nigeria Limited rushed to a federal high court and obtained an order restraining him from reawarding what the firm considered its contract to his wife's companies. On the heels of the restraining order, Madibo and Yakubu resolved to share 850 million naira as revealed by our source. Armed with information that Madibo and Yakubu had shared the money, Intermarkets Nigeria Limited in February 2011 approached the court to order UBEC and TED Fund pay the contention's 850 million naira into its account. Now listen to the involvement of Professor Mahmood Yakubu solely. Professor Yakub Mahmood had earlier entangled himself by deposing to an affidavit that the 850 million naira was not only safe but in his custody. Interestingly, when the matter came up in court, the same Yakubu who had in an affidavit dated 21 January 2011 claimed the money was in his custody, put up every possible legal roadblock to prevent the court granting the contractor's prayer. Unknown to the former TED Fund boss, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, his opposition to the contractor's prayer for the money to be paid into the court's account only helped to confirm that he and his UBEC colleague had shared the money. On July 29, 2011, Justice Abdul Kafarati granted Intermarkets Nigeria Limited prayers and ordered Yakubu's TED Fund and Madibo's UBEC to deposit the said 850 million in an interest-yielding account of his court. Initially, Professor Mahmood Yakubu pretended to be satisfied with the order. He asked his lawyers ways to write the chief registrar of the court to prepare to receive the money. That was when he had felt he was okay with the court order. In the letter dated February 23, 2012, with reference number WC/32/FHC/OD/12, his lawyers penned, "We write in respect of the order of Court Quorum Justice Abdul Kafarati on the 29th day of July 2011, ordering the first and second defendants to deposit with the Chief Registrar of the Federal High Court to be placed in an interest-yielding account the sum of 850 million naira." That was the beginning first paragraph of that letter, all right? And because of time, I wouldn't exhaust what the letter had to say, all right? But shortly after writing the court, Professor Mahmood Yakubu instructed TED Fund's lawyers to file an appeal at the Federal Court of Appeal. The notice of appeal was dated 9 September 2011. However, ruling that UBEC and TED Fund had nothing to lose if they complied with the preservative order by deposing the 850 million naira with the Federal High Court. Justice Hussein Mukhtar of the Federal Court of Appeal last October dismissed Tet Fund's appeal. As things stand now, Professor Mahmood Yakubu and Madibo on September 3rd, 2012, exhausted their terms and may not be reappointed. UBEC's acting executive secretary, Professor Onocha, gathered according to our source, has been appealing to Madibo to quietly return the 850 million naira so that we can now move forward according to sources. However, some UBEC and Tet Fund officials insist that what Madibo and Yakubu should be made to refund 1.6 billion naira, not the formal 850 million, which they say is the interest that should have accrued to 850 million naira over 5 years. That's the controversy. The Commission's legal advisor, Mrs. Fati Abubakar, is reportedly uncomfortable with the legal fees incurred by Madibo. She has reportedly complained to Professor Onocha on the impropriety of shouldering the legal responsibilities of Madibo, who no longer worked in a staff capacity of the UBEC as at that time. Part of the legal fees, which run into tens of millions of naira, accumulated over time from the services of such law firms as Goldgate and Anachebe Enterprises. Modibo's tenure, which lapsed in September that year, was strewn with controversies and court cases. The latest suit against Madibo was filed on September 14, 2012 by a suspended Deputy Director, one Mr. Molkat Mutfwang. Alright, now he filed this with the intention to actually bring Madibo down, alright, because everything that was pointing at that case then, Dr. Madibo Muhammad and Professor Mahmood Yakubu were all culprits to the missing 850 million naira. So to back up these claims, I have documents that will show you actually what has been going on, alright. First on your screen you can see is the copy of the letter from Madibo to his colleague in the ETF, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the ETF known as the Tet Fund now, alright. Professor Mahmood Yakubu then requesting the release of the 850 million for procurement of additional classroom sitting materials, CKD, for junior secondary schools, release of the 85% take-off grant. Dated 7 September 2007, this was the first official assignment undertaken by Madibo, who assumed office 3 days earlier than this day, that is on the 4th of September 2007. All right. Now, the second document is a copy of page 26 of Daily Trust newspaper of Friday, the publication of Friday, August 22nd, 2008, where Madibo announced invitation for pre-qualification of firms to tender for the production and supply of plastic desks and chairs for junior secondary schools. The then UBEC boss, Dr. Madibo, announced in the opening paragraph of the third column of the advertorial, he says, UBEC, a parastatal of the Federal Ministry of Education, has received financial support from the Education Tax Fund, ETF, which is known as Tet Fund now, and intends to apply the proceeds for the procurement of high-grade impact-resistant copolymer resin desks and chairs for the basic education subsector at the state and FCT level in Nigeria. As a consequence of a court order obtained by the firms that originally won the contract, as I initially said, Intermarkets Nigeria Limited and Intermarkets USA, stopping UBEC from re-awarding the contract to any other firm. No single chair or desk was purchased with the 850 million naira ETF raised in September 2007 till date. Professor Madibo, Dr. Madibo and Professor Yakubu Mahmood have both left office, of course, as we know, without declaring the whereabouts of the 850 million naira meant for the plastic chairs and desks. If 850 million naira was fixed in September 2007 at 14% interest rate, the minimum current value would have been more than 2.7 billion naira, which neither Madibo nor Yakubu has provided answers to. This particular expose has been lingering for a while and nobody has said anything about it. Okay, these particular documents have been in the public space for a very long while, although I stumbled over them through a very, very secret source in UBEC, and it has not been touched. Professor Mahmood Yakubu went on to become the INEC chairman, even after this kind of file, this implicative and criminal record. He went on to become the INEC chairman, the chairman or the head to one of the most important boards or commissions in the country. One of the commissions, the most important commission, the umpire, the electoral umpire, and you give it to a fraudulent person to head, and then we expect more? No. No. This is the more reason why things went haywire, especially during the 2023 presidential elections. Professor Mahmood Yakubu must be probed. I have lots of information on him, and I will avail them as time goes on. But before I say quits, I will please urge you to please like our videos, share them. Don't forget to drop a comment for us in the comment section, because we need these comments to go viral. If you're watching me for the first time, please tap the notification bell so that you will get to see me anytime I drop a new update. And then tap the subscribe button too, so that we will grow together and serve you better. From my table, I'm saying, see you next time. Bye.